We have questions. Questions? She said, what do you mean? I said, people ask questions. There's a basket in the back of the room, and they put questions in the basket, or if they don't do that, they just ask me. And then I try to answer those questions on Sunday. She said, you're kidding. I said, no, I'm not. Oh, she said, you mean that you allow people to ask questions? I said, there's no allowing to it. I invite, yes, we encourage people to ask questions. In fact, it's part of my job to teach people to question. Oh, she said, I never heard of such. Well, she said, in our church, we aren't allowed to question. We sit there and we're told, and then we do, and that's it. Oh, I said, well, you know, there are many ways to do things. It just doesn't happen to be ours. She said, well, tell me, what is it that people ask you? Oh, I said, they have asked me about the will of God and what is truth. And the question that I have to answer on Sunday, I can't tell you right now, but as I told her, she went, oh my goodness, you can't go there. And I said, but I'm going to. I'm going to, and she said, you know, I don't know that I'm really in sync with our church, but I'm not sure I could get in sync with yours either. She said, I've got to go home and think about all this. Well, isn't that the whole point? That we're going home and thinking about all of this. So there was something that came to my attention in which I really had to give some thought, and I had questions. Cal recorded a program on the buffalo. I don't know if any of you saw that. It was fascinating. The program wasn't put together too well, I didn't think, but it didn't matter because the message that came to me from the Native American was the buffalo is sacred. It needs to roam on the Great Plains. It's a wild animal. And it is protected in our park system, but as soon as it strays across the border into Montana, it is treated as cattle and slaughtered just like we do our cattle. And so the Native American mourns this because he says the rights have been taken away from the buffalo. There's something, a connectedness between humans and the wild animals that is mysterious and sacred. It was Chief Seattle in 1854. I don't know if you remember any of this. I had to look it up. But when our government wanted to buy land from the Indian, and Chief Seattle wasn't sure about this at all, because he said, you don't respect the wildlife. You don't respect the land. And so he said, when we kill a buffalo, we kill it for our survival. We bless the weapons, we bless the buffalo, and we give thanks for what it gives back to us. And he said, I have seen thousands of buffalo rotting on the prairie, killed by the white man in a passing train just for the pleasure of killing. The white man needs to teach his children, he said, respect for the earth and for all of the creatures on it. The white man doesn't seem to understand that there is a connectedness with all creation. There is a web of life. And he said, we did not weave this web of life, but we are a part of it. We are merely the strands in it. And all creation is part of this web of life, like the strands of a spider's web, all interconnected, all interdependent, all here for one another. The Native American has always understood that, but the white man does not. We in our Western religion have been taught that the land is just something to use. Our Western religion has taught us that the earth is not sacred. Go back to the religion of your childhood and you'll see what I mean. That we were taught we're just passing through. After all, we have dominion. We can do whatever we want. It doesn't matter. The Native American knows better. In our Western religion, have we been given any idea that we are holy and sacred? No. We have been given the idea that we are sinful, flawed, and rotten to the core. It was years ago when we were coming back from a vacation, Del and I riding in the car. We tuned in a radio station, I don't know where it came from, but the preacher was all wound up about Mother's Day and the celebration of Mother's Day. He said, it's wrong. What is a mother anyway? A mother is nothing but an ignorant, flawed vehicle that brings another flawed, ignorant, sinful individual into this world. So we're going to celebrate that? The woman should be condemned. Now that is that man's belief. And he's entitled to it. He can have it. We can all have our own beliefs. But I believe that we need to do everything in our power to counter a belief like that. If truly this is an evil world and we as evil participants in it, I don't see much hope. If truly evil is the way, then I suggest that we all become atheists. And actually, that's the way it's going in Ireland. I don't know if you read that in the paper or not. But in Ireland, people are turning away from the doctrine of the church, from pessimism and original sin. And they are becoming atheists. So here comes the question for the day that somebody asked. What is Unity's view of atheism? Now that is a very interesting question, and at first I thought, well, that's just simple. No, it's not. It's not simple at all. I've done hours of research, and first of all, I have to say that Unity doesn't have a view on atheism. It doesn't take a position on that any more than it would take a position on abortion or any other issue. We have minds that we are to use, God-given minds, and we are to determine how we feel about things like this. But I need to say that we really have something in common with atheism. You take that word apart, atheism, which means that we do not want a belief in the God of theism. We do not want that kind of belief, this God that sits above the sky and sends good to some and suffering to others. There is no God like that. That's a false belief. Carl Sagan, remember him? Wonderful man. He was accused of being an atheist. The woman shouted at him, "You don't believe in God." It was done in such a derogatory way, so demeaning to him. And he replied to his accuser in the most gentle and yet firm way. He said, "Madam, I just don't believe in your understanding of God. Your understanding." He didn't say that he didn't believe in a power beyond ourselves. I actually don't know what Carl Sagan believed. Well, I began to do research on atheism. And Richard Packham, in his book, Atheist Spirituality, I believe it's called, he says that we have been given the idea that atheists, because they don't believe in God, they have no reverence for life. Because they don't believe in a God, they have no idea about the powers of nature, the beauty of our minds, the incomprehensibilities of this immense universe. They have no respect for the mysteries of life and all the things that we don't know as yet and all the things we cannot see. And so he says that for the most part, what we do with atheists is we either pity them or we condemn them. And that's exactly what this woman did when I told her what the question was for Sunday. She said, those poor people, they don't get it, do they? Well, they do and they don't, perhaps. And is that really for us to say? But in this book, Richard Packham says that an atheist can have a reverence for life and be held in amazement at how life reproduces itself. He said, we can do all that without assigning this to a somebody that's running it all. But he says, we don't know enough. Science is little by little giving us the indication that we can know more. Science is carrying us forward. Religion has set us back. Religion carries us back to a past century where there was no scientific knowledge, and yet we're asked to believe that. He said atheists cannot be a part of anything like that. But he said, let me tell you about myself. I live on a huge piece of land in Oregon. It's beautiful. And I revere that land. We have a forest, a river, meadows, roads, trails, we have it all. And on this land we grow cattle and timber. He said, you would think now, because in calving season, we probably see the birth of 30 calves every spring. So imagine all the births that this man has seen. And he said, you would think that we would be nonchalant about that it would mean almost nothing to us. Well, it means a lot. He said, with every emerging calf, it's a miracle that this little creature can find its legs and find the milk. It's awe-inspiring. He said, I walk my land. I go into the forest. The silence is profound. And all that breaks that silence is the sound of birds and the breeze in the treetops. And I take time to look at the wild flowers because I realize that there is little difference between the flowers and me. The flowers are there to grow, to reproduce or not. And they are there to give beauty to the world. Well, so am I. I'm here to grow. I'm here to reproduce or not. And I'm here to give beauty to the world, to lift it. And so then he quotes another atheist. And instead of trying to paraphrase, I want to give you her words. Actually, when I first read this, I was shocked. I'm not going to read this to you because nobody wants to be read to. I share it with you. She starts out by saying that I think we look too far away for gods and miracles because they are among us. There is an elegance in the life cycle of salamanders, even of algae, of trees, of beetles. In a growing embryo, there is more complexity and beauty and holiness that there is in 10,000 hymns of praise or prayers for sanctification. If you listen, every organism, every species, every cell has its own song, a hymn of praise and holiness more deep and fierce and beautiful than we can even comprehend. And here's the clincher. The priceless gift of the cosmos. We are part of it. We belong here. This is an atheist speaking. Let me go on. We belong here with our siblings, our relatives, our parents, the birds of the air, the fish of the sea, and the plants of the earth. We are they, and they are us. Each atom in our body has been part of innumerable organisms and will be again. We have been the tulips and the polar bears, the lemurs, the ants, and the grass. And we will be the deer and the tiger, and the wheat and the E. coli, and the penguin. We belong to the system, tangled beyond extrication with every other living thing. Isn't it enough holiness and beauty for all of us? Isn't that enough? The gods of this earth live in the grassland, the deserts, the rivers, the mountains. We are they, and they are us. You are God and gods and parts of God. We are descended from gods and give birth to gods. They are us and we are they. We live in a world filled to brimming with gods, and yet we look beyond the clouds, beyond the stars, beyond ourselves for a cosmic Easter bunny who can make all our little dreams come true, when in reality, and I want you to really hear this, when in reality we carry the kingdom of heaven within us every moment. And although it is within us, we are part of it as well. Heaven is here. The gods are among us. What does that sound like? It sounds like when I read that, I did not know what to say. You see, we do have something in common then with the atheists, don't we? Because neither unity nor atheists want that belief in the God of theism. Again, I'm going to say, the God that sits up in the sky, that wears a white robe, has a long white beard, and writes in a black book. There is no God like that. And so we have departed from that belief, and so have they. To me, it would not take too much for an atheist to step over into unity and be comfortable. However, I thought, but they aren't the same. And so I spent a lot of time within, asking myself, what is different? What is different? And I came up with something in reading a quote by Hildegard of Bingen, a medieval mystic. And she says, we have a God of hugs. What's missing in atheism seems to be the maternal side of God. Well, God is missing. Well, we don't have that overriding principle that we call God that has this maternal side, that nurtures us and cares for us. Hildegard said that it is as if you and I are embraced with the arms of the mystery of God. What seems to be missing is also our deepest prayer. The prayer that is our deepest and fullest response to life, and that is the prayer of thank you. Thank you for everything we have been given. Thank what seems to also be missing is Jesus. Atheists look at Jesus as a prophet, but to me, he's so much more. To me, he is the way shower. He is the example. And he looked at Creator God and gave us a totally different image, one of God as Abba, as Papa, and invited us all into that relationship with this power. That seems to be missing in atheism. What is also missing to me is something that another medieval mystic said, Julian of Norwich. And she said that, and I paraphrase this, it's as if God is always lying on a bed of a labor bed and always giving birth to something new. And we are the co-creators with this power. That we have ideas that pour into our minds, and that we take these ideas and then we give birth to things. And we give birth to things not just for our benefit and for our comfort, but for the benefit and the comfort of the whole world. That is our responsibility. It's our privilege. And atheism seems to be missing that. But I haven't done all the research. I don't know everything. I could only speak to an atheist, and I have. And what I gained from that atheist was a deep spirituality. But still I saw these missing things. So we, in Unity, believe that there's an inner world within. And we have a responsibility to this inner world. It's one of radiant light that we are to express in this world. We also believe that we have something here to do. Our work is to change the consciousness of this world. Every good word that we speak raises all of us. Every good thought that we have does the same. And every new idea that comes to us and that we use helps to make the world brand new. So I have an invitation, something that we haven't talked about before. And this is something that will happen on December 22nd, that Unity wants to be a part of. Not just Unity, but organizations all over the world, those that espouse love. Because I have to make a distinction here. I can't just say all the religions of the world. I have to say those who espouse love, who live in love. Because if we aren't living in love, if we are like that preacher and we're talking about evil, then we're bringing the world down. You and I are here to bring this world up and to make it brand new. So we are here to help with this shift in consciousness that is happening on December 22nd. It's a big celebration. It's a new birthday for the world. You know, the world is supposed to end when?
21st.
December 21st. It's not going to end. Maybe the old is going away, but the new is coming into being. And that's where you and I come in. Where we stand in the divine web of life with all the loving religions of the world, with the atheists, with the Native American, and we stand and we honor that and we celebrate a new world. Details will come as to how we're going to do this. But for right now, just know that life continues. We're here living it in this web of life. Let's keep doing it. Let's keep loving. Let's keep living. Namaste.